Well, here on the Rural Radio Network, I'm Joe Gangwish. We're going to visit with Marion Calmer from Illinois. He is the owner of Calmer Corn Heads, and we've known you for a little while, Marion, and we've developed a good relationship with you folks. And let's talk about your corn heads. First of all, what made you design these corn heads and come up with these specs so guys can use them?
Well, back in the middle 90s, I was doing a lot of on-farm research at my research center and saw a nice yield advantage to narrow row corn. And the other great thing, like out here in Nebraska, because we're a little short of water, the narrow row corn shades the ground a little quicker, and so it preserves the water and a little higher yield, a little less weeds. But I needed a corn head to pick it, and so I just one day playing around in the shop, I built a 15-inch corn head and found out that it was patentable. And then once I learned the system and I started working, I just kept on coming out with more and more inventions, and we're still doing it again yet today.
Yeah. What's your best seller? What's your main feature on a lot of these heads? Because we've seen them out working. They do a great job with the residue. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, on the corn head side of our company, we build the largest corn heads in the world, up to 32 rows, and also up to 45 foot wide, and also the narrowest row spacing. So we can build corn heads that are only 12 inches wide. And you can see some of those on our website, and we can pick corn in any direction, in any field, and if it's down or standing. And we just finished up picking some of that 500 bushel stuff down there with the yield, world record yield, and that was kind of fun. So that's kind of the corn head side of things. On the other side is we have some aftermarket parts. And that's what everybody's coming in today, because the price of corn's kind of low, so they're not really looking to buy a brand new corn head. They want to rebuild the old one that they have at home, but they're looking for all the new upgrades and what can we do to make it work better. And one of the big problems is getting the big crop, the residue, chewed up so that it'll decompose. And so one of the things we invented was the Calmer BT Chopper Stalk Roll, and it's been voted Product of the Year. And it takes a big corn stalk and turns it into confetti residue, and it decomposes quickly, and then the soil's warmer and drier. So that's the big seller this year, is the aftermarket parts to rebuild an older head.
Let's talk about farming in Illinois. We're always talking about the weather and how the crops are doing here in Nebraska. What's it like in your part of Illinois? You're just south of Moline, right?
That's correct. Yep, I'm on the west side of Illinois, and we had a pretty respectable spring. Didn't have any big gully washers, and we haven't had any real dry stretches. So the weather's been pretty good to us this year. The crop looks pretty good. We're a little nervous about stalk quality. I think we're potential for some down corn if we get some big storms. Our soybean crop is struggling a little bit. We're seeing some sudden death, and so the beans are just actually dying. And I think we're going to see a little buckshot beans in the grain tank this fall. So I don't think we're going to have quite that big yield that everybody's expecting, but still we're going to have a respectable crop this year.
I was just going to ask you that. USDA is expecting big yields. We're hearing variability in Nebraska, so I hear you saying probably the same thing in Illinois.
Yeah, there's some variability out there, and over the phone, of course, we're nationwide every day talking to farmers around the country, and it's always a mixed bag. And we'd all like to have a big Ben Buster crop, and we'd like to have big prices, but it seems like nowadays that's a little tougher to come by than it used to be.
Marion, before we let you go, let's get the mix in there on how you mix being a world-famous corn head designer and farming as well. How do you do both?
Well, running a company, number one, you got to have a good product. And I feel blessed to have the talent, the inventive skills that came to me, from my ancestors and from the people that surround me. They always say that you're the sum of the 5 people that are the closest to you. And so I number one, pretty fortunate for the background that I have and the parents and relatives. Number 2, as you take a great idea and you want to make it grow, then you have to continue to surround yourself with great people. And I'm blessed to have just a fantastic group of individuals, enthusiastic. They can stand up when we have some criticism, and they know how to make things happen when it needs to happen. And so that's the other side. It's all about people. And one of the other things that I've learned is that they talk about companies and they take on the personality of the CEO, and it's called tone at the top. And I find out if I can keep a happy face and energy, that trickles down into my group, which eventually trickles on down to our customers. And if we can do something to help them, then we're more likely to see an increase in business. And I guess my final statement would be that whether it's in your business or in your family life or in your community, you will always get far more out of life by giving than you ever will by taking.
Well, thanks for the time, and have a safe trip back to Nebraska, or back to Illinois.
You betcha. Thanks for stopping by. We've enjoyed being out here in Nebraska, and we always have a great time when we're here.
It's Marion Calmer. He's owner of Calmer Cornheads here at Husker Harvest Days. For the Rural Radio Network, I'm Joe Gangwish.